Maramus! Maramus, please!
He's gone.
No!
Maramus looked to be at peace, a slight smile still clinging to him. Sauron rushed to the body's side. A look of anguish overtook him.
Gods, no.
Sauron removed his coat and placed it over Maramus's body gently.
What happened to Maramus? Is he okay?
Sauron turned to the golden rose and shook his head. Those with caps removed them as the realization filled the crowd. Sheathing blades and arrows, Alvius reached for his wolfskin cap, but his arm was suddenly grabbed by Oaktooth.
Surround the rebels. Ensure they aren't armed. If they are, disarm them by force.
Wait. Why the hell are you here?
You were told to return before sundown last night. We thought that these savages had killed you.
Savages?
Stop.
Draemus stood between his brother and the elven guard, his skin ashen and worn, desperation beaming from his eyes, his outstretched arms nearly trembling.
No more blood. No more death. We surrender.
Draemus, we...
No more, Montraeus. No more. This war has taken too much from me. We've lost. It's over.
It's over. We failed.
Hand over any weapons you have on your bodies. Any resistance will be immediately halted.
Hand them in, men.
Send a message to King Rinwood. Let him know of the events that have transpired.
All wounded in the front carriage. Weapons in the center. Put Maramus in the last one.
Not a single word was uttered for the entire trek to Mistafon. Heads hung low, tears stifled into sleeves. Some refused to even look at each other. Upon entering the city, the horrid silence still clung to the air. No crowds welcomed our heroes this time. The few elves outside during the march to the High Castle looked away, with either shame or pity on their faces.
So this is the river city of Mistafon. I expected more from a man as boastful as Gallus Ringwood.
I'm surprised he isn't parading our heads through the streets on pikes.
The gates of Mistafon's Peak opened like the jaws of a beast, consuming the rebels and the road alike.
Welcome to Castle Raider Peak.
Guards formed around the center carriage, pulling bows, blades, and staffs in the handfuls.
Saren, your men need to be disarmed as well. No outsiders are allowed weapons in Raider Peak. You understand, right?
Sauron turned to his men, keeping his eyes to the ground, and gave them a rather disheartened nod.
Glad Thimbis is asleep for this.
You were unarmed at our last meeting.
That was before you tried to kill us.
I'll ensure King Rinwood is prepared for you. Men, escort them inside. Take the wounded to the temple. Tell the clerics to heal as many as they can. At least stabilize them.
The wounded were helped down from the carriage and taken through the castle to Gilmara's temple.
I'm gonna go with them. Make sure Thimbis is okay. Come on, Roxy.
I'll come with you.
The fountains of the Temple of Gilmara stretched throughout the castle, almost as if to lead those searching to the church in some poetic fashion. A human man stood under the main archway, a crossbow slung across his back, a rapier to his side, and a wide-brimmed hat covering his eyes. He wrote into a small notebook.
Hey!
The man's head shot up suddenly. He pulled the cap from his head and placed it onto his chest. He was a younger man, perhaps in his late 20s. Short black hair and a black leather patch covering his right eye.
Oh, my apologies. I forget how terribly rude it is to cover your head indoors.
No weapons in the castle.
Aemil, I think that's a...
Inquisitor First Class, Montague Colin.
An Inquisitor? Like for...
The Order of Magical Regulation.
The Monster Slayers?
Mostly just investigators, but I have seen many a monster.
The Inquisitor gestured at his covered eye, then gestured down to the claw marks creeping out from behind it, dragging down his cheek.
What did that?
Werewolves.
Werewolves? Like, plural?
How would one join the Order as an Inquisitor?
Well, you need to talk to the Grand Inquisitor and prove yourself to him, and also have any magic registration verified by the Folkrow Academy.
I'm a paladin. Do I still need verification?
We'd probably need a verbal and physical confirmation from your church's Archpaladin if you don't get licensing from the Folkrow.
Kellan, you went to Folkrow, right? Would it be easier to do that?
Oh, is it? Ah, I should have known by the robes. What form?
conjuration?
You wouldn't happen to have been with these Golden Rose men, would you?
Yes, I was.
Right. I assume you have proper permits and licensing?
I do, sir.
May I see them?
Of course. Just somewhere in here. Just need to. Here they are.
Let's see. License to practice magic in public. Certificate of Excellence in Conjuration. Congratulations. Teaching permit. Ah, combat magic licensing. Looks like everything is up to date and certified. Mr. Kellan Deedletinker. Oh, of Deedletinker's Magical Goods?
Yes, that's my family's shop.
I was just there last month for the license renewal. You're Douglas's son, right? He was telling me about you.
How are Ma and Pa?
Splendid from what I could tell. Deborah was planning for Maral's embrace already.
That's Ma for you. She never can be too careful.
Wait, why is an Inquisitor here?
Oh, I'm so forgetful. We detected a magical energy spike several times in Mistafon over the last few days, and when I arrived this morning, the last Fey forest was burning, causing a massive amount of work for the Order. It's been a very busy day already.
What was causing the spikes?
Well, my theory would be two soul trees being in such close proximity to each other is the only thing that makes sense to me. Rather bothersome, really. Makes it harder to detect other forms of magic nearby. Someone could light a shop on fire with a scroll, and I would need to try to detect it for hours before I could know.
But the other tree was destroyed.
What?
The fires. They destroyed the tree this morning.
That complicates things. Stay near the castle, both of you. I may have questions for you, but for now I must speak with King Rinwood.
You're just going to walk in and talk to the king?
The Order has its benefits.
I think that's our orc.
Excuse us.
Carry on.
Where's Nugbar?
He's up.
The Temple of Gilmara had been transformed into a makeshift hospital. Sheets covering the floor wrapped around resting warriors. Clerics gathered around wounded, mending burns and lacerations. A high elf in grey and blue robe stood over Thimbis, wrapping his burnt arm in bandages.
He's a little red kobold. He's about a foot tall. He was so tiny when we found him. Should have seen him, the little guy.
Shh, it's okay. We'll find him.
Sarin has him, Thimbis. He's okay.
How are you feeling?
I caught on fire, but, surprisingly good.
We've infused your bandages with Gilmara's river water. It should have a heavy numbing effect.
Are you a cleric of Gilmara?
I am the Temple's high priest.
Do these waters heal?
Oh, no. The heart of the river endlessly purifies the water, letting us infuse it with magic easier. Once we infuse the soul tree to it, it should have an effect on the water, and hopefully restore the tree.
What's wrong with the tree?
King Rinwood would like to have a ceremony, but the seed... heart... I'm not sure. It's starting to fade in color, and the magic is draining from it. But it should be undone once we connect them.
Maybe we should ask Alvius if...
Aemil! Kellan! Thimbis!
Sarin stood in the archway, fresh bandages covering his scar, obscuring the bottom half of his face, but anguish and rage radiated from him.
King Raiwood needs to address the situation. Discuss pay, talk about Maramus. Come to the throne room soon. Thimbis, you can sit this one out if you need to.
What happened to Maramus?
Kellan and Aemil looked to each other and then to Thimbis. Kellan told Thimbis of the tragedy with teary eyes. They hurried to the assembly. The throne room was filled with the Golden Rose and the Shalaron rebels, standing adjacent to each other with an aisle separating them. King Rinwood entered the throne room from a door behind his throne, taking his seat with a mournful sigh.
My heart, it breaks for you. If only we could undo this. But alas, miscommunication has led to tragedy.
Your Majesty, this is deceitful. You could have killed all my men. I lost a good soldier.
And you have my deepest sympathy for that. Allow me to provide his family with a substantial settlement, hold a service for him, and send his body to his home.
That... Thank you, Your Majesty.
What of us? What of our treaty?
I'm afraid the treaty will need to be revised.
What?
The treaty was based around a sharing of resources and a change of borders. That treaty was written on equal ground. Now, there's no such equal ground.
What of our home?
That will need to wait. We have a ceremony and a memorial to attend to.
I will not stand for such insult.
Montraeus, stop.
Draemus, you coward.
Montraeus shoved Draemus out of the way but was suddenly halted by Alwyn.
Back down, now!
Alwyn placed his blade under Montraeus' chin, sliding it down to his throat with an almost playful manner.
Please, no more violence. Not today.
Back down, Rotkin. I'll not have inbred filth like yourself approach my king.
That's enough, Alwyn.
Alwyn sheathed his longsword and returned to his king's side. A drop of blood slowly ran down a small puncture on Montraeus' neck.
Let us feed you at the celebration. You and your men must be weak and fatigued.
We accept.
Servants filled the room, setting out wine glasses and silver plates, roasts on platters, as the high elven nobility poured wine from clay bottles, grinning amongst themselves in pleasant bliss.
I feel sick.
Draemus hurried out of the room, followed by 2 guards.
I'll be right back.
Where are you going?
To talk to someone.
Vague. You know what? I don't care.
Aemil followed Draemus and the guards out to a hallway overlooking the valley, the forest still flickering in the distance. The guards stood watch over the wood elf. Draemus looked longingly at the ash that was once his home, embers rising from its charred corpse.
Draemus? Are you alright?
I'm fine. Just overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed? You should be furious.
I'm far too exhausted to be furious. Hell, I'm too tired to even be frustrated.
I thought you were a warrior. You should have fought.
Sometimes you realize you can't fight, and even if you can, you shouldn't. Maybe you shouldn't have fought Draemus, but you did anyway.
You should have at least stood by your brother.
Just go away. You remind me of bad times.
Goodbye, Draemus.
Draemus reached out his hand and placed it onto Aemil's shoulder.
What?
You're bleeding.
A trickle of blood leaked out of the corner of Aemil's mouth. He wiped it away, leaving a small scarlet smear on his palm.
What the hell?
Let me see you.
I'm fine. I just need some air.
Aemil hurried himself to the courtyard. He was greeted by an oak casket, surrounded by white roses.
Miramis. I'm sorry.
Service isn't until sundown.
Oh. Hello, Mr. Kalden.
Montague is fine. You never gave me your name?
Aemil.
Lovely to meet you.
What brings you out here?
Just needed some air.
No, I mean to Renavia. The Order works out of Bergsfall. That's a long way to travel in 3 days.
The Order has resources.
Montague snapped his gloved fingers together and produced a small flame hovering above his hand. He brought it to a rolled cigarette, and a trail of smoke grew from his mouth.
You're a spellcaster?
Well, you must fight fire with fire. I've been trying to locate the precise nature of the magical burst. It can't be the tree, since the burst appeared this morning and the tree arrived days ago.
Can't you detect magic like Kellan?
I can, but it is rather hard to focus on a certain point of magic when near a temple of a demigoddess, an incredibly powerful gift from the gods, and a magical beacon to the Feywild.
Istvan is quite the magical utopia.
Any plans after this?
I'm not sure. Probably going back to Oakenspire.
Oakenspire and Oakenwreath? You'd think the Oakencrest family like themselves a bit much, eh?
You don't conquer a third of the world with humility.
If you want to join the Order, we've been looking into strange occurrences in the northern coast of Kramisk. Maybe you could join a search party.
What kind of strange occurrences?
Raids, but with a focus on riches. No massacres, no rapes, just the wealth.
Seems standard for thieves.
Thieves, yes. Not for the barbarians that witnesses describe, and several magical items of varying rarity have been stolen in unnatural quantity.
Strange.
Magical barbarians? That's the last thing Nazaria needs. Sun is going down, funeral will be starting soon. I'll take my leave. I have several questions for His Majesty.
Montague crumbled his cigarette into a pile of ash into his gloved palm, then shook the ashes to the ground. He left as the golden rose arrived, gathering around the casket, each member carving a line into the side of it, a memoriam. Sarn stood among his men, breathing heavily.
Maramis was one of the best of us. Loyal, brave, and a hell of a shot. He was the kind of man I'd want by my side in battle, or in a tavern. With his last words to me, he assured me that he would never leave a man behind, no matter the risk. He was my friend. He was our brother.
Maramis. He was a character, to be sure. He could beat me at chess, drink me under the table, and he'd still be up bright and early the morning after. He could play bishop after a pint, and go on and on about his sons and daughters while he did it. My heart weeps for his family. He was a great man.
Kind words were shared by some, as they put Maramis' casket into a wagon to take to his family. Halfear sang a final melancholic tune. Oh, and there'll be no pain when we wake.
All to believe we were just celebrating here just a few days ago.
I need a damn drink.
They re-entered the castle through double doors as a group. The ballroom was lively, almost annoyingly so, irritatingly positive.
You coming, Aemil?
No, I need to do some thinking.
All right, then.
Keelan glanced around the crowd. Across the room on a white leather stool sat a blonde halfling. His ranting nearly overtook the music.
Damn it, man! I just want a drink!
I think you've had far too much already.
Last time bottles were on the table, anyone could have some. We almost gave some sangria to a foot-tall kobold.
Bottles and glasses could be used by the rebels as weapons. Better safe than sorry.
He's sober, trust me. He's friendly when he's drunk. Give him something stiff.
Dandelion juniper it is.
I'll take one too. Whew. Some stout stuff, eh, Colin?
Another, please.
Colin, this could kill an ogre. Slow down.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to get calmed down. I can't stop thinking about Maramis.
It is rather rough, isn't it?
Colin swished his cloudy liquor into a wooden cup, back and forth.
His kids. They don't even know.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
It's not a tough situation. It's a goddamn tragedy.
An accurate statement.
I've never heard anyone talk with more love in his voice than when Maramis told me about his family. Light would just fill his eyes, and he'd go on and on. It was like a sight to behold. It should have been me, not him. Maramis didn't deserve that.
Colin, don't say that.
It's true, though. I should have been braver. Gone out and looked for you. Maramis would still be alive if it wasn't for me. You know he was always writing to him? Constantly. He'd have a candle lit by his bunk, writing letters to his sons and daughters. Whenever we reached port, he'd go and send them out. One letter. For all of them. He sent some out the morning before we went to the forest. But now, there won't be any more letters.
Colin covered his eyes with his right hand as a tear crept down his cheek. He took a swig of his liquor with a shaking hand.
I'm sorry. I'm just a bit emotional.
It's okay. You're fine. I know he'd appreciate the sentiment.
You know what? When I have a baby, I'm gonna name it after Maramis.
Across the room, at a small table, Thimbis sat with Nugbar, eating and drinking.
Where we at?
The castle.
Castle?
The castle in Mistafon. Renavia's the country. Mistafon is the city.
What's a country?
Well,
What's a city-state?
how the hell do you know what a city-state is?
Oi! Hello there, Edea.
You know, just mourning the loss of everything I've ever known, trying not to think about it. But I can't get a damn drink because the servants can't give me anything breakable.
Sounds rough.
So, you killed Draemus pretty good?
As good as ever.
He wanted me sent out to the forest when I was a kid, or married to a warrior to make other warriors.
Basic mathematics.
Mathematics?
I don't think very well usually, and I burst into flames this morning. I'm not doing too great.
Could I have some wine?
Yeah, sure.
You're quite a seasoned warrior.
Thanks. I've got the warrior's mind. Humans call it trauma.
You have a gorgeous axe. Where did you find it?
Alvius made it for me when we got to Herrick.
Herrick? You've been to Herrick? I was told it was a myth.
I misspoke. I meant Harith. Harith, yeah, we were in Harith.
Where is that?
Near, Kareth. But that's besides the point. Alvius did forge it for me.
Boy in the grey cap. There's something off about him.
He's a little eccentric, but a great smith and a sweet kid. Well, yeah, kid.
He's just so strange.
He's just not from here.
Well, he is very polite.
That he is.
Outside of the castle on a walkway hoisted above the courtyard, Sauron nursed his sangria bottle as he looked over the city.
Celebrating alone, I see.
Leave me be, Alwyn.
Come now. You've got your payment. The war is over. It's time for indulgence and a sense of grandeur to overtake you.
Are you trying to befriend me, Alwyn?
Simple courtesy, and you see it as friendship? You half-breeds are desperate.
I'm not in the mood to tolerate your childish mocking.
Bitter over this morning's events, eh? I swear, your sulking is pathetic. What the hell happened to your face? It's rather unpleasant to look at a man with half his face obscured by bandages.
Go away.
Get a cat scratch? Why are you so damn irritable? You lost one man, an old human man, a drunk from what I saw in him, one human. The rebels lost dozens of men in the flames, and they managed to stay composed without falling over themselves with angst. You know, I had heard you were unkillable when we hired you. I didn't figure a man with a reputation like that. Well, are you a man? Not quite sure.
Shut up.
Such aggression. You should know not to talk to a higher-ranking officer with such a tone. At least that's how we elves treat each other in a real army. Not a bunch of drunken men with chipped blades and blue coats.
Sauron slammed the sangria bottle into the ground, shattering it and sending shards flying into the air, staining the white stone violet. He placed his right hand on Alwyn's throat, forcing his back against the wall. Pressing his fingertips into Alwyn's neck, Sauron brought the shattered bottle up to Alwyn's cheek.
What the hell are you doing?
Do you want to match with me? Want a nice scar on that pretty face? Or could I carve out one of those baby blue eyes of yours?
What's wrong with you?
Shut your fucking mouth! If I have to hear one more thing out of you, the gods themselves won't be able to save you. I'm tired of you. I'm tired of hearing your fucking voice.
Please!
Do I frighten you?
Yes.
Sauron dropped Alwyn onto the ground. Alwyn held his throat and tried to gather his strength.
You insolent little bastard. I will—
You and I both know you won't do anything. You aren't brave enough to say you were almost killed by a half-breed. We'll be gone by morning light, and you'll never see me again. I want nothing but to be out of this filthy city.
Sauron threw the bottle to the side, walking back into the castle, slamming the door behind him.
Sauron, are you alright? You look rather upset. Ceremony's starting soon. Are you attending?
No, I need to get something to eat first. But I may look into it. Have you seen Aemil?
Aemil sat swaying his hand back and forth through a stream.
This doesn't feel right. Nothing about this feels right.
Aemil clutched his token of Ceratosius and looked into the indigo sky.
Faiths guide me. Faith carry me. I am lost and do not know my way.
Aemil felt an irrational sense of fear overtake him. He had made a mistake. He would not be surviving long on this path. He laid next to the stream. He knew death would embrace him soon. The populace of Mistafon's higher level began to make way to the Temple of Gilmara.
New era of riches, eh?
Makes me sick.
Hey, Thimbis, get Kellan. Come with me.
Alright. Here, watch out.
Okay?
Nugbar!
Now, Colin, what's the situation? Does the frost giant have a sword? Or a club? Any armor? Hey, Thimbis, put me down!
We're gonna go talk to Half-Ear.
You could have just asked.
Alright, lads. So the guards set to watch the cellar are nowhere near the place. So I think we could make it out with a couple of casks of sangria as a souvenir. What do you think?
Sounds fun.
Sure.
Ah, so you're finally coming around to have fun, huh, little one?
I just don't like this city and I could use some mischief.
Good lads. The trio crept down below the castle. The light grew dimmer and the air grew heavier.
Something is off about this place.
You worry too much.
Will you two be quiet? There's a guard up ahead. One elf stood by the wine cellar door, his sword drawn. Alright, I've got this. You two go ahead of me. Pardon, Achim. I've had a bit too much to drink and I have no idea where the hell I am. If you would be so kind as to direct me to the room bowl for dancing. Damn mercenaries. The guard grabbed Half-Ear by the arm and helped him up the stairs. Thimbis and Kellan snuck into the cellar while he was away.
Alright, I'll get barrels, you get bottles. This feels familiar.
There's something wrong. I can feel it.
Then feel it while you find bottles. We gotta move.
Thimbis looked into rooms with empty shelves for a few moments until he finally found 2 barrels of sangria, hoisting them up upon his shoulders.
Wait a minute. There's magic here.
It's the magic tree.
No, like right here. Close by us. This way.
Kellan, these barrels are heavy.
This might be important. I need you to come with me.
Fine.
Around the corner, Kellan saw a small red splatter on the floor.
See? I told you.
It's just wine.
I'm telling you, something isn't... Ow.
Keelan's left foot slid out from under him, knocking him off balance, slamming his chin into the ground.
Be more careful, or we're gonna get caught.
It's alright, just put the ale down. We'll say... We... just...
Kellan looked at the stains on the floor. Deep scarlet lines drug into the unlit darkness, with silhouettes highlighted in dim light.
Luma.
With this word, light bloomed from Keelan's fingertips.
Holy shit.
The corridor ahead of them was filled with mangled bodies, chests ripped open as hearts were torn from them. A misshapen figure sat in the center of the massacre, devouring a corpse.
By the gods.
The creature's gaze shot up to meet Keelan's, glowing yellow eyes illuminated from the white light, its arms and legs elongated and twisted, long claws buried into the cadavers around it. It had what appeared to be a heart locked between its teeth. It slithered the flesh into its mouth while its long, needle-like teeth cracked into a smile. It opened its mouth, and a long tongue ran across the teeth. It spoke. Run! Kellan and Thimbis ran faster than they ever had before, slamming the door behind them. They turned to stand face to face with the guard Half-Ear had walked away with. What are you two doing? Firm hands grasped onto Kellan and Thimbis' shoulders. They turned to see an elven guard standing behind them. Nothing to worry about. These two were just helping us move some casks. Nothing to worry about. Alright. Get back to the ceremony.
How?
Come on, back up there.
Don't go down there.
Outside of the castle, a crowd of high elves and travelers gathered with bated breath for the ceremony to begin. A crowd of higher-borns filled the castle entrance to the Temple of Gilmara. Kellan and Thimbis found themselves facing a wall of elven nobility.
I'll try to find that Inquisitor. I'm smaller. I'll work through the crowd quicker.
Alright, I'll look for anyone else who can help.
Kellan worked his way through the crowd. He saw Montague standing before the archway. Alwyn motioned for the crowd to move away from the entrance. The High Priest of Gilmara waved his hand, and a black metal gate separated the castle from the temple.
Mr. Kalden! Inquisitor Kalden!
Yes, what's wrong?
There's something in the wine cellar.
Montague's eye widened suddenly.
Alright, I'm required to witness this entwining. Give me just a few moments.
Thimbis ran down to the nearly empty ballroom, glanced over the room and saw Alvius resting on a wall with Oaktooth looking over him.
Is he okay?
I feel awful.
Feels like Alvius is getting a fever.
Here, let me help you up. We have to get out of here, now.
In the temple of Gilmara, King Rinwood unwrapped the heart of the soul tree. Its golden glimmer had faded. He held it up for the crowd to gaze upon.
Bear witness, for tonight, Mistafon ascends. The heart of the river shall breathe life and health into us all.
Behind King Rinwood, the heart of the river hovered above a well. It looked to be an orb of infinitely flowing clear water. Rinwood and the High Priest each grabbed a hold of the heart of the soul tree, slowly brought it towards the heart of a river. A thunderous applause erupted from the crowd. Then darkness filled the chamber.
Gallus, you've done it.
A voice echoed throughout the chamber, appearing to come from every direction.
Who is that?
Do you not remember my voice, Gallus? Well, it has changed since our last encounter. I must congratulate you. You've proven to me that even a spineless, sadistic, narcissistic deviant like yourself can be seen as a hero in the eyes of his sheep.
Show yourself.
I assure you, I want nothing more than to show myself to this world. But I simply wish to converse with you. Can you not appreciate my courtesy? It is a kindness you spared me. Are you sure you wish to reject my kindness?
Show yourself.
As you wish.
The darkness dispersed. Light returned to the temple. The High Priest grabbed onto his face, which turned into a paper mask. He cast it aside, and an ebony-skinned drow stood before the crowd, a large blade drawn.
No more masks.
The drow shoved the blade into the king, sliding it under his ribs.
No, Roths.
So you do remember.
Get the gate open!
It has some sort of magical seal.
Oh, help!
You did promise a heart.
The drow ripped the knife from his victim and reached into his open wound. The drow pulled Rinwood's weakly beating heart from his body.
So it isn't black after all.
As Rinwood's lifeless body fell to the floor, the drow pushed his heart into the course of the river. A crimson wave spread throughout the water, corrupting the clear streams. Kellan ran down to find Oaktooth and Thimbis supporting the frail Alvius out of the room.
He's here! The drow!
Wait, what?
In the temple, the drow kicked away the limp body of King Rinwood and reached down and grasped the soul tree's heart.
Forgive me.
Flames consumed the heart as the drow crushed it to ash.
What's happening?
Alvius collapsed on the floor and convulsed.
Alvius, calm down.
What's happened?
Bloody teeth fell from Alvius's mouth. Blotches of red burst into his skin.
I think blood vessels are bursting. We need to find...
Two small horns burst from Alvius's skull, blood pouring down his face.
By the gods.
Alvius?
Kneeling on the ground before them, his skin blood red, his white blonde hair turned ink black, his mouth holding 8 fang-like canines, his horns blood-stained and jagged. Prince Alvius looked up to them. His pupils burst as his blue eyes filled with black.
Help me!